أبشر بخير جنان في ساعة الحشر. يا قارئ القرآن يا حافظ الذكر، أبشر بخير جنان في ساعة الحشر. اقرأ كتاب الله في راحة وأناء، وتفكر في معناه تنجو مدى الدهر. لا تنسى الأحكام يا قارئ المقدام، إخفاء أو إبهام، إقرار أو إدغام، والهمز والتخفيف والمد والإشمام. لا تنسى الأحكام، لا تنسى الأحكام. يا قارئ الذكر يا قارئ القرآن يا حافظ الذكر، أبشر بخير جنان في ساعة الحشر. يا قارئ القرآن يا حافظ الذكر، أبشر بخير جنان في ساعة الحشر. اقرأ بلا ملل، ردل بلا وجل، طبق بالعلم، علم الغير، علم الغير. يا قارئ القرآن يا حافظ الذكر، أبشر بخير جنان في ساعة الحشر. يا قارئ القرآن يا حافظ الذكر، أبشر بخير جنان في ساعة الحشر. يا قارئ القرآن يا حافظ الذكر، أبشر بخير جنان في ساعة الحشر. يا قارئ القرآن يا حافظ الذكر، أبشر بخير جنان في ساعة الحشر. يا قارئ القرآن يا حافظ الذكر، أبشر بخير جنان في ساعة الحشر. أبشر بخير جنان في ساعة الحشر، في ساعة الحشر، في ساعة الحشر. مولانا يا مولانا ويا سميع الوعنا، بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا. مولانا يا مولانا ويا سميع الوعنا، بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا. في رجواك مولانا أسهرنا لأجفانا، فمن يا مولانا فضلا لا تنسانا مولانا يا مولانا ويا سميع الدعانا بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا إن أمر أعيانا أو دهر عنانا لا نوم ملجانا إلا من مولانا مولانا يا مولانا ويا سميع دعانا بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا رب اسمع شكوانا وأجب يا ربي دعانا وبنا يا مولانا لا تشمت أعدانا مولانا يا مولانا ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا وأصلح يا ربي محيانا ودنيانا وأخرانا وجمل وجد موعانا ولا تحيب مسعانا مولانا يا مولانا ويا سميع دعانا بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا مولانا يا مولانا ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات حبيبنا بلغنا بمرعانا مولانا يا مولانا ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات محمد تقبل دعانا مولانا يا مولانا ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات نبينا تقبل الله دعانا مولانا يا سيدنا ويا قاضي حاجاتنا بحرمات محمد تقبل الله دعانا مولانا يا مولانا ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات
Time. Okay. The awards ceremony proper will commence after we have a Quran recitation and translation, and after we've welcomed tonight's special guest, who is, as you will have known by now, ladies and gentlemen, the Right Honourable Tony Blair, Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, we begin then in the most appropriate manner by listening to some verses of the Quran read by Suhail Valji and translated afterwards by Zainab Versi. If I could ask Suhail Valji to come to the stage, please. Is Suhail Valji here? Could we have Zainab Versi at least, please? All right.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله فاطر السماوات والأرض جاعل الملائكة رسلا جاعل الملائكة رسلا أولي أجنحة مثنى وثلاث ورباع. يزيد في الخلق ما يشاء إن الله على كل شيء قدير. ما يفتح الله للناس من رحمة فلا ممسك لها وما يمسك فلا مرسل له من بعده وهو العزيز الحكيم. يا أيها الناس اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم هل من خالق غير الله يرزقكم من السماء والأرض لا إله إلا هو فأنا تؤفكون صدق الله العظيم.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Praise be to God, who created the heavens and the earth, who made the angels, messengers with wings, 2 or 3 or 4. He adds to creation what he pleases, for God has power over all things. Whatever of mercy God may grant to mankind, none can withhold it. And whatever he may withhold, none can grant it thereafter. And he is the Almighty, the All-Wise. O mankind, remember the grace of God upon you. Is there any creator other than God who provides for you from the heavens and the earth? None has the right to be worshipped but he. How then are you turning away from him?
Thank you, Suhail, and thank you, Zainab. When the organisers of tonight's event were deciding the running order, Ahmed Versi, the editor of the Muslim News, suggested that I should feel free to ad-lib and be spontaneous. Great, I thought. The only thing is, Mr. Versi didn't tell me what to do and when to say it. Speaking of whom, I'd now like to introduce you to the man who's footing most of tonight's bill, the editor of the Muslim News, Ahmed Versi.
Thank you, Rifat.
Sorry.
Prime Minister, my lords and ladies, ambassadors, friends and colleagues, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Peace be with you. Thank you all for attending this, the second Muslim News Awards for Excellence event. I'd like to welcome you all, and a special welcome to those of you who are nominated for tonight's awards. And I'd like to thank those loyal readers of the Muslim News who took the time to nominate our men, women, and children of excellence. These awards are about you all. You are the reason why we are here tonight. Why do so many of our heroes opt to stay out of the limelight? If you think about it, the answer isn't that difficult to spot. Any outstanding qualities we have are gifts from God. They are not ours to show off because we didn't earn them. They were given to us. They came as part of the package that is humankind. And they came with a purpose, so that we use them to help those less fortunate than ourselves. That is the way of God. Our role models prefer to stay backstage, but their humility, graceful though it may be, poses a dilemma. In today's media-given age, we need them up front to inspire their peers and the next generation. We need to share and emulate their achievements. Hopefully tonight, with a spotlight on excellence, we've done just that. As I reflect on the past year from my vantage point of view as the editor of the largest circulating Muslim newspaper in the UK, it's clear that 2000 was a mixed bag. On the bright side, there was much to celebrate. State fund for a Muslim school in Bradford, a peerage for Lord Adam Patel, the appointment of the highly regarded John Battle as the Minister of State at the Foreign Office, an agreement within the Muslim community that we would celebrate the end of Ramadan on a single day. Miracles do happen. But I, for one, sincerely wish for the day when I no longer trouble our readers with bad news. Like the new statistics confirming that Muslims remain among the most socially excluded communities in Britain, or last month's Home Office Commission report from the University of Derby confirming that religious discrimination is rife, or the continued suffering of the ordinary people in Palestine, where children are indiscriminately killed, Iraq, where we have imposed sanctions leading to the deaths of thousands of innocent civilians, including, perhaps more disturbingly, thousands of children, and the continued suffering of people in Kashmir under Indian occupation. And then there was this small matter of Pakistan's cricket team losing to England at home for the first time.
Ouch.
Talking of cricket, some of you will remember Mrs. Thatcher's cabinet colleague, Norman and now Lord Tebbit, and his famous cricket test. Lord Tebbit reckoned that people who fail to support England cricket team are not really loyal to their country. Believe me, I'm trying hard not to be party political. But it's a patent fact that the present New Labour government is light years ahead of the Thatcher and Major administrations when it comes to making us Muslims feel wanted and our opinions valued. The Labour Party picked the first Muslim for a safe parliamentary seat, and the government has appointed 3 Muslim peers, as well as Muslim advisors for a host of initiatives, and has knighted a Muslim. It fulfilled one of our long-standing requests for a question on religion to be included in the forthcoming census. And you, Prime Minister, have led the way in making senior cabinet ministers available for interviews with the Muslim media. These considerations would have been unthinkable in previous administrations. But to be fair, the Conservative Party under William Hague is not the Tory party of old. It appears far more understanding of diverse faiths. It's under William Hague that we have Britain's first Muslim in the European Parliament. The United Nations has designated 2001 as the year of dialogue between civilizations. It was initiated by President Khatami of Iran, but I reckon that Britain is ideally placed to take a lead in this initiative. In fact, I think we have no alternative. It's no secret that with the collapse of the Soviet Union, some commentators have sought to paint Muslim states and Islam as public enemy number 1. It's a short-sighted, misguided idea, but if you are not careful, some more people may begin to take it seriously. That's where we come in, Prime Minister. On these shores, you'll find people with roots from practically every Muslim country on the planet. Whether it's the descendants of the Yemeni sailors who settled in Liverpool a century ago, or the most recent arrivals from Kosovo, Britain's Muslims can help to bridge the gulf between Islam and the West. Dialogue is badly needed, and we are ready to play our part in partnership with your government. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, Prime Minister, for accepting our invitation. I'm also deeply grateful to Faize Hashimi, who has come all over from Iran to participate in this unique event. However, 2 other esteemed guests, former President of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Alija Izetbegovic, and Anne-Marie Schimmel from Germany, are not able to join us. I would now like to ask the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Tony Blair.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Can I thank Ahmed Versi very much and Muslim News for hosting tonight's event. I'm absolutely honoured to speak to you tonight and to be present here, and there are some familiar sounds that I can hear here as well tonight, which I shall be going back to shortly. Yep, thank you very much. Can I also say that I'm pleased as well to have heard the... Look, sir, I understand you've got a
Thank you
strong
very
point
much.
of view,
This is
but-
an issue that can be addressed later on this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please allow the Prime Minister to continue. It is rude to interrupt.
Thank you. Sir, I'm perfectly happy to speak to you on the way out, but please let me make my speech to the assembled company tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to pay my respects too for that very beautiful reading from the Quran that we heard just earlier. As some of you know, I recently been given a copy, indeed several copies of what we shouldn't call translations of the Quran, but as near as translations as you can. And rather interestingly, the surah that I'm reading at the moment is Cattle. It's typical of a politician's luck, I guess. But just in that brief reading that we had earlier, I think we could see and recognize why it means so much, not merely to Muslims, but to other people from other faiths and religions who are lucky enough to be able to read and to study it. And that really is the purpose of what I wish to say to you tonight, because when we talk about a multicultural society and the importance of interfaith understanding, I think it's worth just pointing out to those here who are not of the Muslim religion that perhaps the most fundamental principle alongside obedience and surrender to God that is in the Quran is the idea that the principles there are of universal application and open to all. And it is also worth reflecting too on a religion and a faith that has 30 days of fasting and that has as a central part of its concept, the concept of zakat, I believe it's called, which is about how people give to those less fortunate than themselves. And those values that are values of family and community, values of social concern and social justice for others, do not merely run throughout the entirety of the teachings in the Quran. They are a vital part of the Muslim community. And I think one of the most exciting aspects of the world in which we live today is that we should see the fact that we have different faiths and different cultures in our community today, not as a source of weakness, not as a source of conflict, not as a source of division, but on the contrary as a source of strength, as a source of unity, as a source of understanding. And I would like to pay tribute not just to the Muslim community in general for all the work that you do, but also to the Muslim News in particular, which is, as a readership, I think of some 90,000 or more, half of whom are women, and I met many of the team tonight, a large proportion of whom are women, but do not merely give news to people in the Muslim community, but again, throughout its pages, raise the issues of concern to people in a way that is sensitive and that is right and that is understanding of different points of view. And I would thank you very much for what you said about the measures that we have taken in government in the past few years, not least the support for Muslim schools, and indeed the whole basis of our recent education document was to lay emphasis on the importance of faith schools in our community. But I am the first who is able and ready to accept and to acknowledge that there's still a very great deal more that we can do. And as you rightly point out in the recent Home Office report, it shows the distance that we still have to go. And the reason we still have to make changes and still involve people from different communities and recognize that there are particular problems of social exclusion in some of our communities, and that there is an imbalance in the prevalence of that social exclusion in different communities. The reason it is so important that we tackle it is that in today's society, in today's world, in the Britain that we want to create today, there is no place for racial intolerance, for racial prejudice, for discrimination. Each person has their God-given ability, and it's our duty as a society to make the most of that ability for them and for us as a country and a nation. And we can do that if we have the will and the faith and the understanding to get it done. And I know there will be points of difference and points of difficulty, but I think today's gathering, this evening's gathering, is the right place to state it very clearly. I hope and believe on behalf of all the main political parties in this country that we believe in that multicultural, multiracial society, that we see it as a source of strength, and that we will not tolerate in our society racism, prejudice, or discrimination of any kind. So let me thank you very, very much indeed for your kind welcome here this evening, for being with you, for being allowed to say some words to you. Let me thank Ahmed Versi and Muslim News for all the work that they are doing. And most of all, to you, to the guests here tonight, I hope you enjoy this evening. I hope you derive benefit from it. And I'm greatly honoured and privileged to be part of tonight's proceedings and to take part in the celebration of what the Muslim community does for our nation. Thank you.
We begin then with the first award, which is the Uthman Dan Fodio Award for Excellence in Community Development. And that is to be presented by Yusuf Bhailok, who is the General Secretary of the Muslim Council of Britain. Uthman Dan Fodio was a scholar. He was a reformer and leader of the Sokoto Caliphate, which he established in Nigeria in 1803. What marks Uthman Dan Fodio out from his peers and predecessors was his ardent belief in the right of Muslim women to be educated and the need for his people from West Africa to the Nigerian rainforest to the tips of the Sahara to gain literacy, to be able to read and write. What distinguishes him is the precedents he set. In his lifetime, under his caliphate, women were allowed the freedom for the first time ever to leave the confines of their homes in order to learn, in order to gain and share knowledge about their religion and therefore about their wider rights and responsibilities as individuals and as vital contributors to their society. Uthman Dan Fodio also devised a method to enable ordinary people to be able to read and write the languages they spoke. And by doing so, he took literacy out of the exclusive grip of the elite and he empowered his people. Please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Mr. Prime Minister, distinguished guests. Firstly, let me congratulate Muslim News for this wonderful evening. Like the Prime Minister said, it's a celebration of the contribution of Muslims in our home in the UK. And we no longer regard ourselves as foreigners. This is our home. And as you can see from the wide range of people here, that we do play a role in every sphere of life here. To use our Islamic terminology, I say MashaAllah and Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
It's my great pleasure to be able to give this award, the Uthman Dan Fodio Award, for the category Excellence in Community Development. We as a community have matured over the years, and indeed it's my great pleasure to give this award, Uthman Dan Fodio Award,
to
the
person inside the envelope.
surprise. Well, the Muslim News Award for Excellence, the winner for the Uthman Dania Fodio Award in Community Development is Muslim Directory.
The Muslim Directory has established itself as the one-stop shop for information on Muslim services in Britain. It's the only directory of its kind, and what's more, it's totally free of charge.
Apparently, the representative from the Muslim Directory doesn't appear to be here tonight. And if he is, could he please come forward and receive his award? This is Naeem Dar.
Congratulations to you. The actual presentation says, Allah loves those who excel in every task. So there we are, bhai.
Award winners, please be here. The second award tonight is the Alija Izetbegović Award for Good Citizenship. It is inspired, as you will know, by the great statesman and modern Muslim hero Alija Izetbegović, the former president of Bosnia and Herzegovina. His list of achievements as an intellectual, as a writer, as a politician, as a leader, again, needs no introduction. Of all the Muslim thinkers and leaders alive today, his name is one of a handful that truly inspires. And it is this inspiration to establish good example, good practice, better practice in trying circumstances, to motivate others through hardship, and finally to achieve goals for the benefit of others. It is this that befits recognition and appreciation. If I may, I'd now like to call upon His Excellency Topkajik, Osman Topkajik, who is the Ambassador of Bosnia and Herzegovina to London.
This is the message from Mr. Alija Izetbegović. Mr. Prime Minister, Lords, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sending you salams and warm greetings from Sarajevo. I'm sorry not to be able to be with you tonight due to other obligations in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Mr. Ahmed Versi and the organizers of this evening's celebrations have paid me great honor by attaching my name to the Good Citizenship Award. I feel truly honored and thank you very much. I grew up and spent most of my life in the former Yugoslavia, which was dominated by the communists. I didn't have the luck or the privilege to be treated as good citizens by the authorities of the time. Because of the position I took up and the ideas I advocated, I was persecuted and sentenced to terms of imprisonment. For this very reason, I find the idea of holding an event such as yours and giving an award for building and promoting a tolerant multi-religious society all the more important. British Muslims have their roots in other countries, even other continents, all around the world. Within quite a short period of time, however, just a few decades, they have managed to become a successful part of the society. They have done so at the same time as preserving and fostering their own identity. I believe that this is a great success of the British Muslims, but also of the British society in which they are living and working. During all of its history, Bosnia and Herzegovina was known as a meeting place of different religions and cultures. We are proud of the fact that alongside one another in Sarajevo we have the main places of worship and religious institutions of four great religions, of Bosnians, Muslims, Catholics, Orthodox, and Jews. A multi-religious society has always survived, despite periodic temptations. The recent war and aggression against Bosnia and Herzegovina probably also constituted our biggest temptation. Partition of the state along ethnic lines, which was the main motivation and purpose of the war, has not been achieved. There have always been enough people in Bosnia and Herzegovina who wanted to live together with members of other ethnic groups and religions. I take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all those who have helped and continue to help Bosnia and Herzegovina. I am particularly happy that the British government is actively supporting the Dayton Peace Accord and my country's evolution towards modern European statehood. British Muslims were among the first to bring humanitarian aid when the war started. Muslim Aid has also given about £300,000 for the reconstruction of 50 houses in a village near Doboj to which Muslim refugees will return. This project has just been successfully completed. Ladies and gentlemen, at the moment of writing this message to you, I still do not know the name of the person who will get the Good Citizenship Award, but I do know the names of candidates, and I do know their merits. I wish all the candidates good health and many further successes in their distinguished life and work. I join all of you in congratulations to the winner of this and future awards. Wishing you all the best, I pray God to help all of us. That was the message.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you. I'd like now to invite Ahmed Versi back to the stage, if you would.
I'd like now to invite the Prime Minister to present the next award. It is the Ali Izetbegovic Award.
For good citizenship.
Well, it's a award for, I'll try and get to the name quickly. The suspense was killing me on the last one. The Muslim Muse Awards for Excellence, the winner for the award for good citizenship is Iqbal Sakrani. Very appropriate.
Prepared to answer a brand new question in the 2001 census. Your question on Facebook. This has never happened before, and it may never have happened again without the dogged persistence of Iqbal Sakrani, the founding Secretary-General of the Muslim Council of Britain. The Queen got there first when she recognised his contributions with an OBE, and now it's our turn.
Mr. Prime Minister, Ahmed Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I'm told there are no speeches today, but it's a duty which I think every Muslim and everybody should have, and that is to thank the Muslim News, Ahmed Versi, and the sponsors of this event. Of course, it came as a total surprise. None of us knew until it was just announced a minute ago. But this award, I think, is a clear recognition that where there is a teamwork, where there are people who work together as a team to serve our community and to please our Creator, then Allah gives us the respect and allows us to deliver what we need to do. I'm thankful to the Creator for giving me this opportunity, my parents for encouraging me, and of course my family to fully be with me all the time when the work is being done. Thanks for mentioning it. Thank you.
I'd like to now thank the Prime Minister once again for being with us here in celebrating the achievements of the Muslim community. As you know, he's got a very busy schedule and he has to go to another appointment now. I'd like to thank the Prime Minister once again.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Versi and Tony Blair. Before we continue with the third award, I think it's important to understand the process through which tonight's shortlist and winners is selected. So, to explain more about who gets what and why I don't get anything, I'd like to introduce you all to the chair of the panel of judges for the Muslim News Awards for Excellence 2001, Abbas Mitani.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Distinguished guests, my brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum. I make this speech on behalf of all the judges. I've been asked to speak briefly, and I assure you I intend to be very brief, about the conferring of these prestigious awards, the Muslim Awards for Excellence, on this year's winners. Ladies and gentlemen, applications for nomination for these awards were invited some time ago by Muslim News. A panel of judges, wholly independent of Muslim News, was appointed, and that panel was charged with the task of adjudicating upon these applications. Some 100 applications were received, and these had to go through a SIFT process. This involved each and every judge individually going through every application with a view to choosing 3 nominations. Those 3 nominations then formed the subject matter of detailed deliberations collectively by all the judges together. The purpose, of course, was to find a winner for each category, and that was what that was what the task was undertaken to achieve. Clearly, because not every judge nominated the same 3 people, the deliberations of the judges over a number of categories involved a consideration of more than 3 applicants. The decision of choosing a final winner for each of the categories was extremely difficult. I'm not just saying this, it's a cliche that we all like using in situations such as this, but genuinely the quality of the applicants was exceptionally high. And I know that I'm not saying this just for myself. All of us took a very long time to come to our decisions, and it was not a decision that we came to lightly in respect of each of these categories, and it was a decision which involved a lot of debate. What particularly impressed us was the number of applications from Muslim women. I very much hope that this trend continues in the future and that we continue to have applications from Muslim women, from our sisters, our Muslim sisters in the future. I, and I speak, I know, for the other judges, are proud to have been appointed, judges, proud to be associated with Muslim News, proud to have considered these applications, and proud to be Muslims. Although I myself felt very inadequate when I was considering these applications, I can tell you that I felt extremely gratified when I considered the achievements of my Muslim brothers and sisters. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, and I told you that this would be a very short speech, as it is customary for me to thank people on behalf of the Judicial Committee, if I can call it that, I propose doing so right now. I, of course, thank Ahmed Versi and Muslim News for making these awards possible, for the applicants for applying, for those of you who have turned up for turning up. But one person that I must thank more than anyone else, and I know again that I speak unanimously for each and every judge, is Ehsan Masood. He was not involved in any way in the participation of the nominations for these awards. But he, and I know he's too modest to admit this, knows that without him we would have been completely lost. May I also, however, say this personal thank you to my more learned, my more noble, and more modest colleagues. I'm very grateful to you for overlooking so many of my shortcomings. I know that there were many, and as Saleh said to me, the least said about that, the better. Ladies and gentlemen, as we, the judges, pass over the selection process to another panel of judges to look at the next year's awards, we wish them every success, inshallah. And we wish them success. We hope that they will have the same quality of candidates to judge on as we have had this year. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Abbas Mitani. The Anne-Marie Schimmel Award for Championing a Muslim Cause is our third award. Please welcome to make the presentation Ghada Karmi. She is chairperson of the Palestine Community Association in the UK. The Anne-Marie Schimmel Award for Championing a Muslim Cause is named after one of the leading authorities on Muslim history, Professor Anne-Marie Schimmel. The award is named after her not only for her outstanding academic contribution to the study of Islam and Muslim culture and languages, but also because of the very brave stance she took back in 1989 when she spoke out against the establishment for its support of Salman Rushdie's The Satanic Verses. Remember the uproar, the protest, the debate. Remember Bradford. Remember Faye Weldon. What Anne-Marie Schimmel did was to take the Muslim argument that Muslims were insulted by a calculated attack on Islam, and she shaped a watertight riposte to the guardians of freedom of expression. But back then, to support the Muslim side of the debate, to champion a Muslim cause, was tantamount to professional suicide. Fortunately, Professor Schimmel survived the liberal onslaught, and our only regret is that she is not here tonight. I do, however, have a message from her, and I'll read out the main points. She says, "Thank you very much for your kind invitation to participate in the Muslim News Awards for Excellence. I very much appreciate your work and would like to send you my warmest regards and good wishes for the event. It is so necessary," she says, "in our time to emphasize the values of Islamic culture. For despite the constant talk of globalization, we sometimes have the impression that the misunderstandings between religions and civilizations grow stronger the easier communication becomes. What we need are people who defend the values of religion and of responsible actions and try to make their compatriots understand the true aspects of culture, and in this case, especially of Islam. I am proud to be associated with the Awards for Excellence." And now, Ghada Karmi, if you would please present the award.
Thank you. I had the pleasure of meeting Anne-Marie Schimmel, and I can confirm that she is a most exceptional person who has worked very hard to promote an understanding in what I think is the genuine sense of Islamic culture, and it's very important. It's a very great pleasure for me to be here this evening, and I thank the Muslim News for this event. I think that the championing a Muslim cause is extremely important and must be understood in the way, as the Prime Minister spoke, in the sense of that we want to create an inclusive society. We recognize that British society is enriched by all its communities, and in that sense, I think this is the sense in which this award is being offered. Now, the winner is Barts and London NHS Trust.
When it comes to mosques, let's start the choice. You'll find the mosque on a high street, a university campus, airports, even places of work. You'll find them everywhere except in an NHS Trust hospital, but not anymore. Barts and the London NHS Trust in East London is the first to provide its staff and patients with a purpose-built mosque.
Thank you, Ghada Karmi. Now we've arrived at the fourth award, a milestone in that it represents a third of the way to dinner. Yes. This is the Ibn Sina Award for Excellence in Health, and I'd like to call upon Muhammad Haroon, who is Head of Cancer Prevention at the Department of Health, to please make the presentation. Ibn Sina, known in the English-speaking world as Avicenna, is one of those historical names that rings a bell. Avicenna, wasn't he Greek or something? Well, at the time of his birth in 980 in Turkestan, the world of Islam around him was delivering philosophy, science, medicine, and literature, the like of which had last flourished in ancient Greece. Ibn Sina became one of Islam's most influential philosopher-scientists, and he was also the leading clinician and heart specialist of his day. And to this day, his encyclopedic volumes on cardiology lie at the heart cardiology, of modern treatment and disease prevention. Thank you, Tahira, for nearly laughing.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum. I'm pleased to have been invited to present the Ibn Sina Award for Health, and the Department of Health is proud to sponsor it. We're committed to tackling the problems of both smoking and chewing tobacco amongst ethnic minorities where there are high prevalence rates. The smoking prevalence rate for Bangladeshi men is 44%. The rate for all adults is 27%. Such high prevalence rates must be tackled to avoid the death and disease that would otherwise inevitably follow. We want to do this in a way that meets the particular needs of the communities concerned. To take this forward, we will be launching the NHS Asian Tobacco Campaign in May this year. But we recognise that this will not be enough. Support will be needed from the community. We have already sought their views. I very much hope that people in this audience will also support our efforts where they can. This event rightly recognises the contribution that the Muslim community makes to our diverse society. Muslims make a major contribution in the health field. It is fitting, therefore, that the Department of Health should sponsor such an award. So, without further ado, I would like to present the Muslim News Awards for Excellence. The winner for the Ibn Sina Award for Health is Bayan Allergy and Worldwide Welfare.
This is a joint award. Bayan Al-Aragi is an expert in tropical medicine from Iraq, but she can't practice in the country of her birth. She was forced to flee, along with her family, or risk persecution at the hands of Saddam Hussein. Today she chairs the London-based charity Worldwide Welfare, which helps to relieve the poverty, distress and the suffering of Iraqi refugees in the southwest of Iran, as well as people displaced from Kosovo, Palestine, Syria and Indonesia.
Our next award, the fifth award, is the Allama Iqbal Award for Creativity in Islamic Thought, to be presented by Dr. Zaki Badawi, Chairman of the Muslim College in London. Muhammad Iqbal, known to so many as Allama Iqbal, or more correctly, I believe Zaki will tell me, Allama Iqbal. Allama is a word that means great scholar, I believe. He was also known as Sir Muhammad Iqbal. He was a truly dynamic thinker and philosopher-poet of the early 20th century. Having studied in the West and impressed by much of the academic tradition here, Iqbal returned to India, his birthplace, ready to question and challenge stagnant traditions and doctrines that owed more to cultural intransigence than to Islam. And while Muslims today applaud his creativity in thought and direction, it was not always so during his lifetime. His prolific poetry advocated social reform, but not all appreciated its impassioned challenge of the status quo.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم النبيين والمرسلين. It is really a great honor for me to be involved in giving this particular prize awarded by the Muslim News, which has established the position of the Muslim community in Britain through its activities, both in the media and in functions of this nature. Allama Iqbal was a man who was admired by the many, but followed by the few. We will reach maturity when Allama Iqbal's views, ideas, and contributions become part and parcel of our own lives. When Allama Iqbal faced the challenges that faced Muslims in the early last century, he produced a philosophy that was an inspiration to all universities. Unfortunately, it has not yet seeped to the majority of our crowds. His poetry is still to this day a marvel to read, not just in his original, the language in which he wrote, but also in translation. His ideas about Islam, and his book in particular about Islam, remains one of the classics, our heritage, that we should, every one of us, should be looking at, reading, and learning from it. We need really to resurrect his ideas, and I'm grateful for the Muslim News to draw attention to such a great man. His greatness is recognized everywhere in the world amongst the thinkers, amongst the elites. But I think soon, through the Muslim News activities, it will be, and his views will become known to our communities at large. Who is the winner? Now, the winner is Raqiya Waris Maqsood.
Any Muslim in tonight's audience who's been wed in the past 5 years will know that this reward is richly deserved. Raqiya Waris Maqsood is an outstanding teacher, a researcher, and an educationalist. But for newlyweds, she's better known for her indispensable guide to tying the knot. Yes, she's the author of the Muslim Marriage Guide.
became very busy talking to the winner that I forgot about the award. But here it is, and most congratulations. You deserve it, and I hope that the people will actually learn from you and benefit by you as they benefit and learn from by Allama Iqbal.
We come now to the 6th award. This is the Fazlur Rahman Khan Award for Excellence in Engineering, Science and Technology. There are 2 recipients of the award tonight, one for Excellence in Engineering and Science and one for Excellence in Technology. Please welcome to present this award Dame Rennie Fritchie, Commissioner for Public Appointments. When we think of the heyday of Muslim science and innovation, we usually have to go back a few centuries. Well, Fazlur Rahman Khan earned his place in the history of engineering and technology much more recently. In 1975, he designed the Sears Tower in Chicago. Then, at 110 stories high, it was the tallest building in the world. The street upon which it stands also bears his name, Fazlur Rahman Khan Street, no small monument to a man from Bangladesh. He also provided a tremendous service to Muslims the world over when he built the Hajj terminal in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And this building, combining the traditional tent-like structure with futuristic fiberglass and cable technology, demonstrates why Fazlur Rahman Khan is still, 20 years after his death, so inspirational to so many designers, architects and engineers.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, it's both a privilege and a pleasure to be here tonight to present this award. I was struck by what Ahmed Versi said at the beginning, which was modesty is important, but so is visibility. In my lifetime, I've lived in several countries as a Scot, now in England, Africa, Turkey, and America. And I was reminded of a verse I learned in America that I want briefly to share with you. It's not good poetry, but it has some sense in it. It says, if you whisper down a well about the goods you have to sell, you will not make as many dollars as the one who climbs a tree and hollers. It seems to me tonight it's quite important that we take time to recognize and honor those people and climb a tree and holler on their behalf. It gives me great pleasure to present the Fazlur Rahman Khan Award to 2 winners, and the very first is Salim Al-Hassini.
Professor of Mechanical Engineering at the University of Manchester Institute of Science and Technology. He's one of the world's foremost experts on impact engineering, and he also helped to set up the Manchester Central Mosque, the Muslim Youth Foundation, and Student Islamic Societies at UMIST and the University of Manchester.
I was given an opportunity to say a few words. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Of course, this is a position of saying thank you to all those who have nominated me and selected me, and it's a great honor. But as you well know, the great reward is from Allah. And if you read in the Quran, you will find that almost every page in the Quran, the description of those who believe is always followed by those who do good deeds. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ is everywhere, and I hope that all the work we do in our life is an expression of our religiosity through virtuous deed, by having a good output to the community, Muslim community and other communities at large. May Allah reward you for this privilege. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
And the next winner is Monzoor Ahmed.
Unfortunately, I believe that Monzoor Ahmed is not able to attend, Dr. Monzoor Ahmed. And could I please ask a friend of his, Ashfaq Ahmed, to come up and receive the award on his behalf? Ashfaq Ahmed.
Ahmed is a consultant gastroenterologist at a hospital in Birmingham, but tonight we honour him for something quite different. We all know that Eid is one of the high points of the Muslim calendar, except of course for the annual disagreement over what day to start and end the fasting. Monzer's research on the phases of the moon and his free web-based software has helped to settle many a dispute.
Thank you, Dame Rennie Fritchie. Now for the 7th award of the evening. This is the Alhambra Award for Excellence in Art. And to present this award, I'd like to call to the stage the Right Honourable Michael Ankrum, the Chairman of the Conservative Party. All of us are familiar with the impressive red stone building called the Alhambra, in Granada. It appears on many a postcard and holiday programme where it represents the Moorish presence in Spain. Not all of us are familiar with the real history, art and significance of the Alhambra, not a palace at all, but an entire royal city. And not representing a Moorish presence in Spain, but the very solid rule of Muslims in Spain in the 13th and 14th centuries. All are struck by the design and artwork. Again, not all of us understand the dimensions of this artistry, Islamic art that is, contained within the interiors, the walls and the gardens of the Alhambra. True, good, lasting Islamic art is inspired by one desire, one direction, to proclaim the glory of the Creator. True, good Islamic art has function as well as form. And whether it educates or inspires or does both like the Alhambra, excellence in art should bring us together in appreciation. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm very grateful to have the chance to be here this evening and to present this award. And I would like to congratulate the Muslim News not only on hosting these awards tonight, but for the contribution that the paper itself makes to our society. The Alhambra Award is a very important symbol and recognition of the contributions and achievements to art made by the Muslim community, and I pay tribute to the newspaper for hosting this event tonight so that we are able to make this award. These awards for excellence recognise and celebrate Muslim contributions to our society here in Britain, and indeed to excellence within the Muslim community as well. And I looked at the nominees. They are all shining examples of this excellence, and it's obviously very difficult to make a choice between them. But I thought when I was listening to the earlier speeches that we live in an age when values and standards and excellence are so much under attack. And what is important tonight is that we are here to celebrate standards and values and excellence. And can I add that these outstanding awards clearly demonstrate the richness and diversity of the contribution made by the Muslim community in Britain. But more important than that, they reflect the dedication and commitment and sheer hard work of so many members of the Muslim community who are not here tonight and who are not recognised, but I know whose work goes into these awards as well. And so we celebrate together that extraordinary synthesis of religion and cultural diversity, which within our society enriches the whole of our society. It creates a partnership of diverse expression of shared values, which, as the Prime Minister said, is a strength and also an enormous hope for the future. So I thank you for inviting me to make this award. And the winner of this award is Maythem Rida.
Maythem Rida is a filmmaker from West London. His feature film Voices of Silence was screened at the Cannes Festival in 1998, and right now he's working on 2 films exploring ethnicity, migration and bridge building between cultures.
We come now to the 8th award. This is the Al-Mu'mineen Khadija Award for Excellence in Enterprise. Excuse me. I'd like to ask the Right Honourable Simon Hughes, Home Affairs spokesman for the Liberal Democrats, to present this award. Al-Mu'mineen means Mother of the Faithful. It is a title reserved for the wives of the Prophet Muhammad and was first bestowed by him upon his first wife, Khadija. For Muslims and for non-Muslims who know of this truly noble woman's achievements, Khadija embodied over 1400 years ago the better side of modern-day experiences and expectations. Experiences such as feminism. She, a lone, working parent, hired a man to do her bidding and then proposed to him. The Prophet accepted. Liberalism. She used her wealth, her social standing, and her compassion to encourage the Prophet and his minority following to speak out against the majority. And of course, enterprise. The mother of the faithful was an astute businesswoman whose unflagging optimism contributed greatly to the well-being of the fledgling Muslim community. Khadija earned her title, and we would all do well to emulate her.
Thank you very much, Ahmed and Rifat and friends, sisters and brothers, peace be with you. It's excellent to be here. It's one of the first award ceremonies I've ever been to, which is not just a cultural experience by the nature of the guests who come, but actually cultural by the way it's presented, and you gain something in enrichment as you go on. So I will commend it to all these other people who do award ceremonies, not least in Hollywood. They could learn something from you. This is the Excellence in Enterprise Award, named after the wife of the Prophet. I am very conscious that men should remember that we are the minority gender, and therefore we recognise quite properly somebody who was a leader from the majority gender, and there's a long way yet to go for women to assert their true place, which is much greater leadership in this society. And I've no idea when I say that whether the war is going to be won by a woman or a man, so I may be giving myself trouble in a minute. Excellence in enterprise is what makes Britain great and what makes Britain what it is. And I know from experience, as many of us do in politics and other walks of life, how the contribution of the Muslim community, individuals, families, and the community as a whole, hugely benefits the enterprise that is Great Britain. Not only do we have cultural enrichment and spiritual enrichment, but we have enrichment in terms of our success as a nation in the world too. And I just want to say thank you for your contribution. In my part of London, just across the river from here, where tomorrow I'll be assisting in the starting on work on a new mosque, which is going to be built just by the Elephant and Castle. In London and in the country, we have much in common. We have in common that we live, work, and have our being here. But we also have in common, those of us of faith, that we worship the same God and we share the same values, and we do that in mutual respect and I hope an increasing understanding. But we also celebrate our difference. The great joy of Britain is, as the Prime Minister says now, our diversity. And if we can't learn from that diversity and mutually benefit each other, then we really ought not to be here as citizens at all. So I want to pay tribute to you as a community. We as politicians have done some things for you. There's a Human Rights Act on the statute book. There's a Race Relations Amendment Act just passed into law. But as the Prime Minister says, we have more to do. We have to make sure that we have no allowed discrimination. We have to make sure in particular that the Muslim faith does not suffer the discrimination that the law does not yet protect it from. And we have to make sure that there are no more occasions like the one I had to deal with the other day when a little Muslim boy living just across the river nearly died because of a racial attack on him. Our work is not done till we have the enterprise completed of a society in which everyone can live life to the full. Everyone at the top of society and at the bottom. And that's what I hope we'll be able to achieve together. And the award for excellence, the winner of the Khadija Award, is Nazir Jessa.
From a back bedroom in his house, Nazir Jessa laid the seeds for Watford Electronics, what is today one of Britain's largest mail-order firms. He now devotes much of his time in encouraging tomorrow's Jessas. He offers financial support, advice and mentoring to aspiring entrepreneurs and builds schools and houses in other Muslim countries.
that's Muslim News. Thank you very much for the recognition. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Our 9th award. The Ibn Battuta Award for Excellence in Media is named after the great 14th century traveller and correspondent Abdullah ibn Battuta. To present this award, let us welcome Ahmed Rajab, the editor of Africa Analysis. Ibn Battuta has been described as the greatest journalist of his day. It is a description that doesn't take into account the difficulties involved in writing in the first place back in those days. Not simply finding the correct expression or finding excuses for missing a deadline, but procuring the ink and the pen in the first place. And then there was the travel itself, the storms, the perils, the donkeys, all taking Ibn Battuta from his home in Morocco to Saudi Arabia, the Levant, the Persian Gulf, East Africa, Asia Minor, Transoxania, India, and finally China, and back again home, where his chronicles were compiled into the Rihla, which is a traveller's compendium, a very neat, rough guide. The information bequeathed to us by Ibn Battuta is a valuable source of knowledge today about diverse societies yesterday. Who knows, among us today, there may be a writer or a broadcaster who will enrich the world tomorrow with knowledge about our world today.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته ومغفرته. It's a great honor for me to be here, especially to present this award with the name of Ibn Battuta, because this is a man who traveled all the way from Morocco to the Swahili coast in East Africa, perhaps not to my native Zanzibar, but certainly to Kilwa and to Mombasa. He was a great investigative reporter. He recorded the lives of the people there, and he bequeathed us in his Rihla, which is in a class of his own, the way of life, the way he saw it in East Africa. I'm sure had he lived today, people like Charles Moore here would have used him without any difficulty in the pages of the Telegraph. I would not say more, since Sayyida Rifat had already said a lot about Ibn Battuta, but we British Muslim, I should say, we've come a long way, a very long way in the media here in Britain. We are there, both in the electronic and in the print media. But what we need to do now more is to change the perception so that people really understand the real Islam, and our contribution should be acknowledged as well. Now, to come to the point, the winner for the Ibn Battuta Award for Excellence in the Media is Dilip Hero.
Dilip Hero is a writer and a journalist from London. He's by far the leading specialist on South Asia and the Muslim world and minority communities. His greatest strength is his ability to see both sides of a story and then retell it with depth, dexterity, and context. In doing so, he's unafraid to challenge prevailing stereotypes about Islam and about Muslims.
I think I'm described as author and journalist. As a journalist, I had to do journalist research. There's nothing I can add to Ibn Battuta. And I did the thing, I went to the internet. Search engine, google.com. And everybody has a piece of paper to show, this is mine. It says here, google.com, search took 0.1 seconds, results 1,720 documents. That's, well, I'm adding something to what Ibn Battuta did. The other thing I had to find is something personal. His book, Travels in Africa and Asia, was published, English translation published in 1929 by Routledge and Kegan Paul. But as a journalist, you need a human touch, human interest. So I said to myself, what do I have in common with the great Ibn Battuta? Routledge and Kegan Paul published my book, Inside India Today, in 1976. So that is something I have in common with him. Thank you.
Our 10th award this evening is the Faiza Hashemi Award for Excellence in Sport. To present it, I'm very pleased to welcome its namesake, Faiza Hashemi. Faiza Hashemi is a role model in the world of sport. Not for the records she sets, but for the stereotypes she breaks. Due to her work as Vice President of Iran's National Olympics Committee, Muslim women are now able to take part in some Olympics events dressed appropriately for Muslim women. Not like this, though. It is a huge step when you consider that the major factor stopping many talented Muslim women from competing in sports is not lack of speed or accuracy or coordination or agility or even stubborn fathers or husbands, but simply the fact that it is taken for granted that in order to be able to go higher, stronger, faster, Muslim women or women all over have to wear less, less and less. Also, through Faiza Hashemi's efforts as president of the Muslim Women's Sports and Solidarity Federation, this is an international body, yet another hurdle to the participation of Muslim women in international events is being overcome, with the organisation of international meetings specifically for Muslim women. Faiza Hashemi, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Ladies and gentlemen, I congratulated Ahmad Versi and his colleagues for establishing such a fine foundation. I am honored for participating in your celebration. This is great to know that there are people like you who are thinking and working hard toward introducing Islam to the world. We all know Islam can bring unity and success to Muslims in particular and the rest of the world if we truly follow the just rules of Islam. I wish this movement will continue in the future successfully. I must add the third International Games of Muslim women will be held this October in Tehran. I hope Muslim athletics women from England to participate in these games. I wish we could all gather in Tehran and work as a team for the better and friendly world.
This award, I should point out, is a joint award.
And the winner is Ismail Saleh and Cobra Kai.
There aren't too many martial arts clubs that consistently turn out world, British and regional champions, but the Cobra Kai Club in Leicester is certainly one of them. Its success is pretty much down to its inspirational founder, trainer and mentor, Hafiz Ismail Saleh.
خيلي متشكر. Thank you very much. And now for the 11th award. This is the Al-Biruni Award for Excellence in Community Relations. I'm delighted to ask Sir Richard Wilson, Cabinet Secretary, to make the presentation. Abu Rayhan Al-Biruni was born in Uzbekistan in 973. Who was he? He was a polymath, an accomplished poet, philosopher, historian, geographer, mathematician, astronomer, and mineralogist, and a lot more besides. Well, that all qualifies him as a role model for aspiring poets, philosophers, historians, geographers, and anoraks the world over. But what really puts him in a class of his own is how he used his wealth of knowledge to broach and promote tolerance between divergent communities. In India, as court astronomer to the Sultan, he criticized his patron's attacks on the culture and arts of the Hindus. To put it in context, It's like defending a group of people whose beliefs are largely anathema to your own and defending them in front of a ruler who has the power to crush you literally. Centuries on, we still suffer racism and religious discrimination. We still tolerate racism and religious discrimination. The need to build bridges goes on.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
I'd just like to add my own congratulations to Ahmed Versi and Muslim News for this truly excellent award occasion. From the point of view of the civil service, it is the kind of event that we welcome and is very much in tune with the changes which we are trying to make to ourselves. The traditional values of the civil service are that we are politically impartial, that we select and promote people on merit, that we give the very best advice to the government of the day that we can without fear or favour, and that we maintain a high standard of integrity in everything that we do. And we hold to these values through thick and thin, and we have some of both. And all I would say is that in terms of, and we try to do that in a way which is in spirit with the times we live in and the community which we serve. And I think that diversity and the promotion of a multicultural civil service, and one which is welcoming and inclusive of all people from all sections of the community, is fundamental to the kind of values which I have described. I don't think we can look ourselves in the eye today unless we actually reflect the community we serve, and we are fair and we live in a modern way which is true to the values I've described. Against that background, we have committed ourselves at the most senior levels to promoting diversity. We've set ourselves targets, and more than that, we have recognised the importance of a change in our culture. And I'd just like to say we've appointed Museji Ahmed Takolia, who's here today and is himself a Muslim and now Haji, as senior advisor to the civil service on diversity strategy. And I'd just like to say thank you. Now, one thing I have learned is to leave the stage before your welcome is over. So I'd just like to say the winner for the Al-Biruni Award for Excellence in Community Relations is Faith Together in Leeds.
Faith Together in Leeds 11 is an example of how different faith communities can succeed when they join hands to tackle poverty and social exclusion. It's a partnership of mosques, churches and voluntary groups, and one of their first schemes is to build a much-needed community centre.
Two more to go. This is the 11th, and this, I think, is a lovely award. I sound like Jilly, what's her name, don't I? Anyway, the Hassan and Hussein's Children's Award for Excellence. Now, this is so uplifting, and I think that all the children on the shortlist really do deserve to win this. To present it, please welcome Yusuf Islam, Chairman of Waqf al-Bir. In his absence, please welcome Najma Ibrahim, and she is the coordinator of the Muslim Women's Helpline. This award is named after the beloved grandsons of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He called them flowers of this world, Hassan and Hussein. They started life as the most privileged of children. Their grandfather was a prophet, their mother was the most pious of women, and their father was a fair and fearless leader. But for Hassan and Hussein, life would never again be so sweet when in early childhood their grandfather and mother died. The boys learned through experience, often harsh experience, and they taught with compassion. They attacked injustice and they defended the faith with their lives. The example they set as boys and men every day of their precious lives is unmatched. May Allah grant our children the faith and fortitude to follow it.
Assalamu alaikum. I was told there's going to be no speeches, so I'm not going to do any speech here today because I'm just standing in for Brother Yusuf Islam. The winner for the Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein Children's Award for Excellence is, any guesses? No? Is Yusuf Sidat.
Yusuf Sidat is from Leicester, and he's dominated the world's semi-contact martial arts scene for the past 5 years, and he's only 15. He's won numerous British and regional titles and 2 world championships, and if that wasn't enough, he finds time to memorize the entire Quran, and he's topped his class in his last examinations.
Our final award this evening is the Iman wa Amal Special Award. Let us welcome Saliha Islam, the Deputy Chair of the panel of judges, to make the presentation. Iman and Amal are Arabic words. Iman means faith, Amal means action, means deeds. Wa just means and. Iman wa Amal, faith and action. This is a special award given by the panel of judges recognizing a person or group who, through their faith, because of their faith, have contributed to the welfare of the Muslim community in Britain. Islam teaches us to assist and support each other, not just as a prescribed duty, but also as an instinct. The Prophet said that Muslims are akin to parts of the body in relation to each other in matters of kindness, love, and affection. When one part of the body is afflicted, said the Prophet, the entire body feels it. And as a consequence, when one believer or group of believers comes to the aid of another, we all feel the benefit. Please.
Right, thank you. Assalamu alaikum. I won't keep you waiting because I can hear many tummies rumbling on the table. But this is the Special Judges Award, as Rifat said. And it's to an exceptional lady. We felt that we really had to give her an award. And so I'd like to ask Nahida Qureshi to come up, please.
I believe that Nahida Qureshi couldn't make it tonight, and her husband, Mr. Qureshi, is approaching the stage to receive the award on her behalf.
Nahida Qureshi has been head teacher at the Tayyiba Girls' School in Stamford Hill since 1992. From small beginnings, with a handful of pupils, the school now caters for 300. It has a fashionably long waiting list and impressive GCSE results.
And so we come to the end of the Muslim News Awards for Excellence 2001. It only remains for Sarah Sharif, that's the deputy editor of the Muslim News, to leave us with some food for thought before we actually get to eat. I'd like to thank you for all your patience and support this evening. And once again, may I please ask you not to swap seats while you're eating, because we are catering for some special diets and seating arrangements have been made with this in mind. The meal being served is halal. And I should actually like to thank all the sponsors of tonight's event, and in particular the following: Pride Oils PLC for sponsoring the Anne-Marie Schimmel Award, and High Tech Electronics for sponsoring the Ali Izzat Begovic Award. The Ibn Sina Award was sponsored by the NHS Asian Tobacco Campaign, and the Allama Iqbal Award was sponsored by Noon Foundation. Many thanks also to HSBC for sponsoring the Al-Mu'mineen Khadija Award, and finally, thank you to the Cabinet Office for sponsoring the Al-Biruni Award. I leave you all finally in the capable hands of the angelic, serene, charming and utterly single Sarah Sharif. Thank you, good evening.
Thank you, Rifat, and I'll be seeing you afterwards. My lord, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Don't know about food for thought, more like thought for food for all of us, I'm sure. But it is my duty to wind up this evening's proceedings with the obligatory thanks. Now, I want to take a little bit of time to perhaps put into context what we've tried to achieve with this Awards for Excellence. And I know it's really difficult to do in this wonderful sort of setting of the Savoy Hotel. But perhaps, you know, as we all know, if you're in a desert, you start seeing mirages because you're so hungry and thirsty and everything. So, a mirage for you. Imagine the scene, a barren wasteland with a garden terrace on a high plateau and a river at the bottom. For years, a faithful old gardener has filled 2 pots of water and carried those 2 pots of water suspended from a pole on his shoulders up the stony path to that garden terrace. 1 pot delivers its full complement of water. It is perfect. The other pot is cracked and half the water leaks along the way. The flawless pot is, of course, very proud and boastful. The flawed pot, the cracked pot, increasingly ashamed and humiliated and embarrassed by its failing. It was not for this purpose created, surely. One day, when he can bear his shame no more, he addresses the gardener saying, "I'm really not worthy of the purpose for which I was created. You take great efforts to fill me up and carry me all the way up that hill to the garden terrace, and less than half of the load is delivered to the garden. I'm really useless." The gardener is kind and wise and a very good listener. Counselling is not such a new profession. And asks the cracked pot if, in his self-pity, he's ever taken the trouble to actually look around him on that long journey up to the garden terrace. The pot hasn't, so he decides to defer his complaints until he has had a look around. On the way back down to the river, to the gardener's hut, he looks but can see nothing. What could my master have meant, he thinks. The next morning again, the pots are filled by the gardener, and this little cracked pot signs resignedly. Again, he will be failing his master, failing the purpose for which he was created. But then, as they move up the lane to that terrace, garden terrace, you probably have guessed it, all along the little lane, there are the sight and the smell of mosses and lichens and little grasses, all of different hues of green, and here and there delicate little flowers, which have attracted butterflies and bees. This story, of course, is perhaps a Sufi story, which has a lot of different meanings. It's an allegory. But the one thing that I thought was appropriate to this meeting is that there are lots of these little flowers flourishing in our midst. Britain, to some Muslims, has seemed a rather stony and barren land. And yet these flowers have emerged, not always thrived, but perhaps these awards for excellence are there to nurture and perhaps cultivate new flowers so that something positive can be contributed to the whole of British society. I would urge you all to look in your communities and look around you for those delicate little flowers, Muslim and non-Muslim, which are striving and requiring that little bit of nurturing. Somebody said to me that makes this Muslim News Awards for Excellence big drips, but I don't know. Maybe it's not such a bad thing to be considered if it's doing something good. That we've been able to organise these awards for excellence and nurture those little delicate flowers is due to many people, I'm sure you'll acknowledge, people too numerous to actually name. But on behalf of the Muslim News, we would like to pay special thanks to all the sponsors without whom this awards ceremony would not have been possible, to the consultants, people who gave of their advice free of charge and gave of their time, the judges who met under very difficult circumstances and had wadges and wadges of papers to go through, to everyone at this august institution, the Savoy Hotel, to the hard-working team at the Muslim News, and especially the editor. They really work extremely hard, long hours. But there is one person that we'd actually like to name, and that person has really, well, he could have walked away with more than one award tonight because his work and his experience and his professionalism are such that in any other circumstances would be deliberate of an award. Unfortunately, because of his involvement with the Awards for Excellence, his dedication, his involvement with us right from the beginning of this initiative, his guidance, the judges, panel of judges recommended, in fact, that maybe he couldn't be offered an award because of his involvement with the organisation of this event, but he should be acknowledged in some way. It is therefore our great pleasure to invite Saleh Islam to come forward again, please, to make a special award of thanks and appreciation for the hard work and his involvement with these Muslim News Award for Excellence, and that goes to Mr. Ruman Ahmed.
Sorry. I just wanted to say a few words that I know I'd have to drag him onto the stage. And I would have liked the Prime Minister to have given you this award, but you'll have to do with me, Ruman. So, congratulations. And,
I just want to say thank you to everybody because I wasn't expecting this. Thank you.
Finally, I'd like to thank all of you for your support, especially to all the readers who nominated, who took the trouble to look at those delicate little flowers in their community and nominate them. And in that way, hopefully we'll be nurturing new seedlings and new flowers in our community, ones that we can celebrate next year or the year after. Before I wish you all bon appetit, I would just like to say that during the course of the dinner, there will be some music playing. It is in Arabic, but there is no Quran recitation for those of you who may be worried about speaking and enjoying your dinner whilst the Quran is being recited. There's no need to worry about that. You can chomp and chat to your heart's content. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
بحرمات محمد